Hey, how are you?
Good. Can you revise? We were all in here and didn't get a chance to hear what you had to say.
You want me to do it again?
No, just give me an update on what you said. Are you going to run for governor?
We're in the exploratory phase. We'll probably make a decision in the next 6 weeks. Heck. It's not just about me, it's about making a difference, particularly with respect to school funding and property taxes. So we're talking to a lot of people. We're working hard to figure out the best way to have the biggest influence on what I believe to be the most pressing problem in our state, which is the tandem of how we fund our schools and how we address property taxes.
Did you get into it all, the differences between you and the candidate that is on the Democratic, that would be Senator Peltis we just heard from?
Is Dan a candidate?
I think he did.
I'm kidding.
Announce.
No, I did not talk about. This is early. We're all starting out. We're trying to get known. It's been a fun day, and we talk about where we come from. You know, I told the story of my first car. My first car cost me $35. It was a 1964 Rambler. I borrowed my father's mechanics tools, and it took me 2 weeks to get it running. And if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have had a first car. I went to law school. I paid for my first year by working as a carpenter. If I couldn't swing a hammer, I probably wouldn't be a lawyer. I went to college on scholarship. I'm the only one in my family to go to college. This is all a big deal for me. I'm very passionate, as you can imagine, about school funding and raising expectations. High expectations have a cost, and I don't want any child in this state to have to lower her expectations because of where she went to school or where she was born. So that's top of mind for me. Anyone else have questions?
Mr. Volinsky,
Yes.
you endorsed back in 2015. I'm wondering why you think some New Hampshire lawmakers might be a little more reticent to endorse this time around.
Endorse in the presidentials?
Correct, yeah.
I think, well, I know we had 2 candidates then, and we have 20 now, and it's a very strong field. And so a lot of us have a couple of favorites that we're following and trying to support in various ways, and I think that's great. I don't think we should get too tribal too quickly. I think it serves the interest of replacing Trump by listening to each other and coming up with the best plans and the best candidate.
In your opinion, who resonated the most with New Hampshire voters today?
Well,
or which few?
There were a handful that did very well. I'll let the people who are in the audience judge that.
Was this the largest event of Democrats that you've seen in New Hampshire ever before? And did it offer you an opportunity to sort of hear where they were coming from and what their priorities were?
I think it's among the largest conventions that our state has seen. I tell you, I listened to a number of the presidential candidates, but I learned the most and actually had the most fun walking the halls and running into people who have delegate badges and guest badges and have just shown up because they're interested. And we've had some really good talks about what's important. And I'm telling you, school funding and property taxes are very high on the list. So is gun violence, particularly guns in schools. So is climate disaster. We have 10 or 12 years to bend the curve. My grandson is almost 2. Shame on me if I don't bend the curve for him. And then, as an executive counselor, I focused on judicial selection and nomination and confirmation recently. And I think we need people to nominate to the bench who respect women. And I think we need to do a lot better than the recent nominations that we've gotten.
Counselor, a number of the presidential candidates have come out with mental health plans, but not all of them have. Do you think New Hampshire is undergoing a mental health care crisis? And what advice would you give to presidential candidates considering addressing that issue here?
New Hampshire, after we closed the state hospital in the 1980s, had a best-of-class, nation-leading community mental health system. And slowly, over the years, for lack of funding, it fell off piece by piece by piece. And I think there's a lesson there that mental health treatment is important. Related to it is substance use treatment. And in order to have good systems, you have to provide consistent financial support for them. New Hampshire, as you may know, has among the lowest Medicaid provider reimbursement rates in the country. That makes it harder for mental health counselors and different kinds of therapists to maintain their practices here in our state. And I think our people suffer for lack of access.
Does that mean expanding the conversation beyond just opioids, which is what we heard a lot about in 2016?
I think the conversation has expanded beyond that, but I absolutely agree. There's more to it than the substance use crisis. That's a big part. And let me say, we haven't quite gotten there with the hub and spoke system. In part, the governor and the commissioner are too focused on creating a New Hampshire system and not trying to learn from what other states have done. Chris Sununu doesn't know that Vermont had a hub and spoke system 4 years before us. And we need, as I have done, to go talk to people who've been doing it longer than us to learn the right lessons. Yeah? We good? Thank you all very, very much. Thank you.